one thing that no one can prepare you for when you move to New Zealand is the fact that even after 13 years of living in this country, you will still be taken by surprise about what the Kiwis do. The minute she walked into our kitchen, our pride and joy, she said, "Oh, why did you put the cooker there? That doesn't give you much space when that's there," doesn't she, Brian?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I don't..."
Should have put the sink there.
Yeah, you should have put the sink there. And immediately you're like... In this week's show, we're going to jump in and share with you 2 common New Zealand ways that happened to us this week in New Zealand that still make us think, is this really happening? So let's jump in and find out just what they are.
Got it.
Welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. Everything you need to know about moving to and living in New Zealand.
There's a whole world here.
So nice to be with you again.
We call it Aotearoa around here, bro.
You'll be right.
We are your hosts, Liz and Brian.
Amazing New Zealand in the southern seas.
See, that's where I belong. That's home.
Hello and welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we're here to talk to you about common New Zealand ways. Basically just chew the fat with you over what has happened in our lives in New Zealand in the past week.
Yeah.
So we thought that might be interesting to you.
That's it. The trials and tribulations of New Zealand.
Yeah.
What you come up against and what you go through.
So if you haven't been to this channel before, we're Liz and Brian, husband and wife, and we talk about everything New Zealand. We moved from the UK 13 years ago and we now live in Taranaki. And we talk about living in New Zealand, moving to New Zealand. What we wanted to talk to you about today is that involve some common New Zealand ways, because a couple of things have happened this week where we thought, like one in particular thing happened and I was just, we were blown away by it. We were just, can you believe this?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk to you about that in a minute. And then the second thing was just an occurrence that happened and we're like, can you believe this? So we're like, so you're going to get the ha and the about living in New Zealand.
It's not all a bed of roses.
No,
you know.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. As much as we love it, it's not. Right. Okay, so we're renting our house out because we're going travelling to Europe. So we started off, didn't we, just putting it on Trade Me.
Yeah, first step is to stick it on Trade Me and stick some pictures up. And it's kind of hard because your house is full of kids, kids and boyfriends and family and things like that. So you can't go into rooms and take pictures of bedrooms because it just looks like a dump site, And so that side of it is kind of hard just to think, where do I start? So basically you go, right, we rented it 4 years ago, so I'm going to use those pictures. The house hasn't changed really in any way, has it? But it doesn't.
We're a bit like those people on Tinder. You know, when you go on Tinder and you're like...
What's Tinder?
Dating agency that you used before you met me.
Right.
They go on Tinder and they're like, oh yeah, this is me, and it's like 20 years ago, and they turn up in real life and they're like, oh, it's a bit frightening.
Taken 10 years ago. Yeah, but houses don't age the same way, do they? They look a bit
still
different. A photo kind of like, you don't see all the chips and things, do you? So that was just like a bit stressy, just trying to get some nice pictures of the house, you know. And the day that you want to put it up on Trade Me, it's blowing a gale and raining, so you can't go outside and take any pictures
You
of the
got
garden.
a bit stressed about that, didn't you, Brian?
I always do, yeah. But you want it to be right, yeah.
But yeah, so there we are, putting it on Trade Me, because we went privately. We're going privately because my mum only lives down the road, and we've got family here, so it was like we know enough people, because Brian is a tradie. He knows enough people to say if something goes wrong.
I know to break something. Yeah.
So we didn't bother going with an agent because we're too tight, and we said, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah, but they take what are they going to take? They're going to take like 15% of it.
Yes, but they earn that though, Brian.
Do they?
Yeah.
Doing what? Taking pictures.
So we put it on Trade Me, and then what we did was we waited for the flood of renters to come in and say, we'll rent your house for 6 months, which they did.
There was an awful lot. Yeah, it was just like it came almost like within 48 hours of putting it up, because there is a housing rental shortage in New Zealand. So, we put it up there and we were inundated with
I reckon they've
people.
all seen us on YouTube and they're like, oh, look, there
There's
they are.
That house.
We can go and make a cup of tea and drink out that blue cup.
We can be on YouTube too.
No, so we put it up and lots of people applied. And you know what it's like? You've got to go through... It's horrible because you want to give it to everyone, because everyone sounds like they would be perfect. We had one lady who... Was she a conservationist or something?
Yeah, because we've got like an acre or so of land here. She
Yeah.
wanted to, she just said, like, we know you've got I know you've got a couple of sheep on there, but can I, plant some things and do some eco stuff and see how it grows organically, like,
That
and
would have
I
been
was
really
just like,
good.
wow, yeah,
I
that's a
know.
great idea. But she needed long term.
Yeah,
didn't
she needed a year.
Because this is only 6 months that we're renting it for,
Yeah. And then we had another family apply, and they had, I think they had like 2 dogs or something, which we were open about dogs.
Well, we've got animals
We've
and
got
stuff.
animals,
and
yeah.
it's a rural home, so,
Yeah.
it's more than likely it's going to have pets. So it's, and it's not a show home by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's not, but it's, I don't, you
Still
don't
your
want it
pride
to,
and joy, I
yeah, it
suppose.
is your pride and joy. But we were like, if the animals are well behaved and well trained, then yeah, but I think she had 2 or 3 dogs, and I thought, oh no, that might just be a little bit too much, mightn't it?
Yeah.
And they were big dogs as well. So anyway, to cut a long story short, we find this lady who is from New Zealand. She's a New Zealander, and she's living in Australia, and she's come back to New Zealand. And she just sounded perfect. She sounded lovely, didn't she?
She did.
And Brian said to her, oh, you can come and see the house in a month's time. And so the last month, I'm not kidding you, it's been absolutely horrible, because every living moment of the day we have spent cleaning and getting everything ready
It's
and
just
tidy.
cutting hedges down, just cleaning driveways, scrubbing down decks, and just loads of stuff. Because we've got loads of decks here, and we get a fair amount of rain and slidey moss and things like that. It just does, and it just gets everywhere,
And I don't mean to be horrible when I say this, Bri, but you are like very, very particular, aren't you, when it comes to...
I do like my bleach.
Yeah.
You don't need to do the wet and forget stuff or whatever it is. It's just use bleach. That's all it is.
You're going to get a load of people now telling you that bleach is bad for the
it's
environment.
biodegradable, and it doesn't go down the drain, so it just
okay.
soaks into the ground around the deck anyway. Yeah.
Into the woman's nice conservation plants that she's planting.
Yeah. Ooh,
Isn't
nice
there
and
bleach?
organic, this bleach.
Anyway, so yeah, we've been flat out, and when I say flat out, I mean it. I mean, we didn't get a moment's rest, because if you stood still for a minute, Brian would be saying, oh, why don't you clean the broom cupboard out, or why don't you clean the pantry out, or, we did have a lot to do, didn't we?
There was so much to do, because it wasn't just like cleaning for her to come around. It's getting ready for renting, so it's just like, trying to get it sorted. And so... you're not spending loads of money yourself on gardeners coming in and all that sort of stuff.
We've just done everything ourselves, because my son made me laugh. He goes, I don't understand. Why don't you just get a team of cleaners to come and do it? We're like, can you imagine how much money that would cost to get a team of cleaners to come? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to. But
I know, but we've never been like that. We've always been hands-on, haven't we? Because
unfortunately.
I don't know why.
I wish I wasn't.
It's like, I remember we did have a cleaner when we lived back in the UK, and we used to clean up before she came round. What's all that about? Why do you do things like that?
Make it nice and tidy. So
it's like, I'll put all those things away. Well, you don't need it now. I'll wipe the tops down and I'll...
Yeah.
Just like, oh.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to typical common New Zealand ways, right?
Yeah.
Get this. This just blew my mind. The lady turns up to see the house. When did she come? On Sunday, wasn't it?
Sunday at 12:30ish, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And she comes in, and the nicest woman, really, really lovely. You could see she was a bit nervous because she was on her own, and it was almost, maybe she just, I don't know, maybe because there was 2 of us, I don't know, but she came in and she had a look around, and we started talking and saying, that we had kids. And she said, oh, where are your kids going while you go to Europe? And we said, well, they're going to join us for 2 months. I said, but the rest of the time they're going to be living with my mum. And I said something like, I don't know, much to my son's horror, because he's got to leave his room. And do you know what she said? She goes, if you dream of moving to New Zealand, then you are going to love what I'm about to share with you. 12 years ago, when me and Bri emigrated to New Zealand, we were scouring the internet, trying to find any information that we could about what our life would be like when we got here. And basically all we had was YouTube. So we made this vow. We said, when we get to New Zealand, we're going to create something that we can share with others that answers those questions that you're so desperate to know about. Like, what is your life going to be like when you get here? And that's what I'm here to offer you today. We have created a 5-day free, absolutely free video guide that shows you what it's really like to live in New Zealand. This stuff is unique and it is
fabulous. You are not going to find it anywhere else on the internet. And like I say, it's absolutely free. You'll be sent a video every day for 5 days, and you will know what it's like in New Zealand. So head over to the website. It's www.nzahead/free. One more time, that's www.nzahead/free. You are going to love it.
Oh, much to my son's horror, because he's got to leave his room. And do you know what she said? She goes, I'll tell you what, she said, I can't do the accent, but yeah. She said, I'll tell you what, she said, if your son wants to stay, she said, I'm happy to have him as a lodger.
Yeah.
Didn't she?
I've never met such
Couldn't believe
a person to be so flexible about renting a home. Like, she said, I've done a lot of travelling, because she's lived in Australia for quite a few years.
30 years, hasn't she?
Well, yeah, and now she's sort of, she's come back to New Zealand and everything, and I think she's still got family over in Australia at the moment until things calm down with COVID and this, that and the other. And all that, but she just said, I've been travelling before, and if you hit problems in Russia, not in Russia, because we're not going to Russia, we'll go to Europe. If you hit problems or things happen, because I know what it's like when it happens, or someone gets ill over back at home, she said, I don't mind if you need to come back home, and I'll just lodge with you in this house. And you're like, wow,
I know,
because like you have that fixed term of 6 months for your rent, so you're not legally entitled to come back to your home, And just other things. It's just, it was just unbelievable.
Like the spare room, she said, she said, oh, I won't use this room. She said, so if you want to put all your stuff in there, I won't go in there. She said, just leave it in.
But but it was just like saving us so much stuff, because normally you've got to stack it all, put it in the loft, and put all your clothes away, put all your personal belongings. I know it's a furnished house that you're renting, but just to turn around and say that, you think, what a lovely person.
I know.
And that's so New Zealand. You just don't really... People are just like, no, don't want the landlord anywhere near me or anything
Let's just talk for a minute about... Well, before we say that, I was just going to say, it's a bit sad, really, because the Brit in me thought, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Yeah, what do you want?
Yeah.
And you have to remind yourself, 13 years we've been living in this country, and you have to remind yourself that this is how people are, you know? No one's out to get you. Yeah. No one's out to try and rip, you're only saying that because you want that.
Yeah,
she's just a lovely woman. And it's just...
It's just that humanity that they have together here. Yeah. It's like respecting each other. Like, we know there's problems and, and things like that. There can be, but the majority sort of get on well, don't they?
They do, and just that... I don't know, the way I looked at it is she looked at me, she's a mother herself, and she looked at me and she could see that, because I've told you before I'm a little bit, about leaving the kids, because it's the first time ever, and I know they're not kids, they're 20 and 18, but I'm still really, really nervous about going away and leaving them. Yeah. Hand on heart, that's how I feel. And I'm trying really hard not to be like that and to be all independent and like, I'm not going to miss my kids, but I'm dreading it. I'm absolutely dreading leaving them, And I told the woman this. And so I think it was just that thing of like mother to mother, and her just to make me feel better and just to say, listen, if you want them to stay, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. And so nice. So nice. She's
absolutely lovely. And that's that side that we just want to portray. They're the sort of people that, if you're thinking of moving to New Zealand or coming to New Zealand for a holiday or just to come and see it, or, you live here, you'll either agree with us. I know some people are going to turn around and go, oh, well, everyone I've ever met is horrible.
This is our experience. Don't forget that. We're not saying the whole of New Zealand. This is our experience. We only ever share our experiences with you. So this is our experience. In comparison, when we rented our house in the UK, and I don't want to slag off the UK, really don't want to, but I am going to give you a comparison. This is what we're used to, okay? This is when we rented our house in the UK, this is what we're used to. A stream of people came round, and the person that we ended up renting it to, she was nice, but the minute she walked into our kitchen, our pride and joy that we'd had our children, brought our children up in, our home that we loved, and we were leaving it to go travelling, and she said, oh, why did you put the cooker there? That doesn't give you much space when that's there, doesn't she, Brian?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I don't...
should have put the sink there.
Yeah, you should have put the sink there. And immediately you're on the back foot, aren't you? Because you're like, oh, Brian...
You got it wrong.
You designed this kitchen, you idiot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, yeah, and she said something else, didn't she, about is there any way that I can take up or move that plant in the garden? She was just being really finicky.
Yeah. It spoils the view, that little tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you look at that, Bri, go away, fly. When you look at that in comparison...
I know. Yeah,
chalk
and that's
and
it.
cheese.
Yeah, it is.
And like I say, not saying everyone's like that, but those were our two experiences about renting our house.
Big difference. So, you know, the thing is renting a house in New Zealand, you have to jump through hoops as a landlord nowadays. Everything got changed in, I think it was May 2021, Healthy Homes Act and everything like that. So, you know, you've got to have your right insulation. You can't have any cracks in there drafted through the home. There's, you know, you've got to have openable windows and you've got to have ventilation in the bathrooms and underfloor insulation if it's on a pile house and in the walls and in the roof. And there's so much, and you've got to have enough heating in the living areas. So you have to go through an awful lot to do that, like, you know. So it's so nice when you get a tenant that's just like, oh yeah, and you see all the stuff that you've done for them. They're really appreciative of it and everything like that. So you know,
just tell me this though, Brian.
What?
Do you, and hand on heart, right? Just answer this honestly. Don't just say that what you think you've got to say. Do you think that other people who are renting their house? What are you looking so nervous
no,
about?
I'm just trying to think. I'm contemplating on what you're saying. I'm getting the gist of it now.
Do you think other people out there in the wilderness renting their house go to the same extent cleaning it as you have made us do?
Probably not. But
no need, is there, Brian?
no. But the thing is, it's not cheap to rent a house in New Zealand these days, is it? It really isn't. So I suppose you just want to make it right. And because we're moving away, you can't just like nip back over and come and sort something out, because, you know, that's been a mess. So I just want all the ducks lined up in a row, and then we can go, like, you know. And that's
the only
what it
reason
is.
I say that is because, as some of you may know, we have got a private New Zealand membership group. That it's like a small family that we support each other moving to New Zealand. It's absolutely gorgeous. And within that group, we've got people, obviously, moving to New Zealand and going through the rental process.
Well, they have to, don't they? Because, you know, if they're coming over, you know, even if you're a resident, you have to be here for a certain amount of time before you can buy property and stuff, you know?
And some of the stories that they're telling us, you know, I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
We should get to hear all the gossip. But some of the stories, they're like, we went to see this house, it was $750 or $800 a week. And they're saying, oh, it was just filthy, you know?
But the thing is, you get, going back to that...
They're not using their bleach, right?
No, they're not using the bleach, and there's a calculation that you have to do. I don't know any other countries that do this. Let us know if you do, but it's like, it's off the government, and it's a heat loss calculation for the living room. So you have to put all the stuff in, and, you know, I'm a heating engineer, but it's just like... Who's going to do that? Who's going to employ these people to do it, like, you know? And
what, do the heat loss thing?
You're supposed to, yeah, it's law.
Right.
You know, it's an act of parliament, so...
Anyway, so let's move on. But just to tell you that we have got the cleanest house in New Zealand right now.
Today.
Yes. It won't stay that way for long.
Yeah.
And we've got the loveliest person who is renting our house.
Yes.
So
yes.
that was to say that. Right, now to put a bit of a downer on the programme. You've had the good stuff.
The same house?
Oh, no, before we move on,
right,
let me just tell you about the community as well,
All
because
right.
we've had a lot of people say, how do we join this community that you... Are we all right for time?
Yeah, we're all right for time.
How do we join this community that you keep mentioning? So... If you want to become part of this community, it's a membership group, and within that membership group you get hours and hours and hours of videos that me and Bri have lovingly poured our hearts into about moving to and living in New Zealand. They've never been released, they've never been on YouTube or podcasts or anything. They're just exclusively for this membership. And there's hours of the videos. And also you get this private community group on Slack. Now, to be part of that group, we would prefer you to go through the free 5-day video guide. So you might have heard us talk about this a lot. It's 5 days of videos that you get sent to you every day for 5 days, showing you some aspect of life in New Zealand. Sign up for those. It's absolutely free. Take the videos. You'll love them because they're brilliant. And on the 5th day, there's a link in one of the emails that says this is how you are given the option to join that membership.
Yes. Yeah.
So that says it all, doesn't it, really?
That just about says it all, yeah.
All right. Anyway, so second piece. Well, guess what? You know the bins.
The bins?
The bins are the bane of my life.
So we have 2 bins. We have a green landfill bin, and we have a recycling bin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had these bins for the 12 years or 10 years that we've... How long have we lived in this house?
Just 10 years.
11 years.
11 years. It's coming up
house.
11 years this year, isn't it? Yeah.
Every week, the truck comes up, empties the recycling, empties the rubbish bin, and it's something like $550 that we have to pay every year, something like that, around $500 to get this bin emptied, because we're rural and they won't come and collect our bins.
Yeah, because years ago it used to be the council that would empty the bins and things, and now they, for pricing and this, that and the other, they contracted it out to... I think it's Trans-Pacific Waste or something like that, isn't it? So
I wasn't actually going to name the
it's
name
not,
of the company.
well, there's only one company that does it.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, that's what makes you
In
laugh.
that one.
Oh, I know. Let's use the old council company and rename it.
Anyway.
So
it's been emptying these bins for ever since we've been here.
Yep.
And they've done a brilliant job. And every Christmas we leave them beers and all the rest
we do.
of it. We love our bin guys. It's fantastic.
Well,
this isn't
appreciate people that do jobs like that.
Yeah, and this isn't a go at them, okay? Just so you're aware of that.
No.
Anyway, last few weeks, because we've noticed it more because we've been doing the house and we've had lots of
you get
cardboard boxes,
extra rubbish, don't
you?
You know that you're just like, oh yeah, that needs to go, this needs to go, and it's not. I
last-
mean, a lot of stuff has gone to the
charity
shops and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're not talking about stuff like that. I'm just talking about like boxes and cartons,
just extra stuff.
Yeah, that's just been lying around mainly. Yeah, anyway, and it hasn't been emptied, the blue bin, the recycling bin. So I've decided to phone up the council. It's not the council, sorry. I decided to phone up the people who empty the bins.
But just to say one thing, we let it go for a couple of weeks because we thought it might have been COVID related.
I just said that.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
That the bin lorry didn't come up the road, or
that's why I
someone
said
didn't
that.
come up? All right, okay,
Yeah.
I can't remember you saying that.
And also when you phone up the company, they say, "Oh, we're short-staffed at the moment because, of COVID, and please be patient." And so I thought, but like I say, 3 weeks is a little bit long, so phoned them up, and the lady. Honestly, I waited about an hour and 10 minutes to get on the phone to them. There must be a lot of people phoning up about their rubbish in New Plymouth, Bright.
Yeah.
She comes on the phone and I said, "Oh yeah, we haven't had our recycle emptied for a while." And she said, "Oh, that's because we've stopped doing it now." And I said, "Since when?" And she said, "Oh, it's been a few weeks now. We don't do that anymore." And I said, "Well, weren't you going to tell us?" And she said, "Oh, didn't you get an email?" Like, as if. And I said, "No." And she said, "Oh, well, you should have done." "Oh, no, well, anyway, we don't do that anymore." And I said, "So what do we do with our recycle stuff?" And she said, "Oh, you just have to take it to..." She didn't say this, but this is what she was insinuating. It's like, you'll just have to take it to a recycle centre. But we live...
Yeah, we live
20 minutes
20k from a recycle centre.
Yeah.
And to me, if there's probably another 50, 60 houses that live up the road from us.
Yeah.
So that's 50, 60 cars now driving instead of one lorry.
Yeah.
One truck, to the recycle centre.
And I said, why aren't...
How is that environmentally friendly?
Why can't they do it? And she said, "Oh, it just wasn't cost effective for us. We're just not doing it anymore." But here's the thing, the money didn't go down. We're still paying the same amount. No one told us, so...
Yep.
And I know I keep saying it, but neighbours are still... I don't think it
is. I think he's just doing us, like... putting it out, and
maybe.
That's it. And it does annoy you when you do live rurally in New Zealand, and you do see it, and you'll see people burning rubbish, and you're like, oh my god!
I've never seen anyone do that.
You see it round. You'll see it.
Yeah. You're always
They
saying
used to do
this.
it in the
I've
house
never
over the
seen
back
it.
here at one time.
That's a farmer, Brian.
It
He's
doesn't
burning
matter.
his tyres.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's not rubbish. Give him some slack.
So it's just things like that,
Yeah, but you make out as if like everyone's all around burning their rubbish, and they're not.
No, but they do. They just get it built up big enough. I remember having the council knock on my door one day and say, "Oh, we think you've been burning rubbish," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I've never burnt rubbish." It's just like something I don't do, and it's we've got on a picture of taken up the hill that looks like it's from your house, and it's like, well, the difference between looks like from your house, and I had to walk the whole property, and he was looking for a fire.
Was he?
Yeah.
When was this?
Oh, it's about 5 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, when they were still collecting the rubbish.
Were you burning rubbish?
No,
you don't burn.
No.
I don't know why I said
No, we
that.
burn.
You don't burn
We'll burn
leaves.
Leaves, not even so much leaves. Once
like garden stuff.
Yeah, the sheep will eat all the leaves anyway,
Yeah.
won't they? It's just like hedge trimmings and stuff like that. Not much.
Yeah,
27
minutes,
maybe.
right. Okay, let's wrap it up because it's 27 minutes. But anyway, so The little niggle is now, so I phoned the council and I said, look, you know, we were paying privately for our rubbish to be collected, and they've said they can't collect the recycling.
Which these guys are contracted by the council. They win the contract.
Do they?
To do of course they do, yeah.
And the councilwoman, she's really nice, but she just said, you're just out of our zone because you're rural. And the worst of it is we can see, I mean, if you sit here, you can see, it's like teasing us. You can see the rubbish bin, the council rubbish bin coming up the road
it's
and
just
emptying the stuff, but they won't come up that further.
Like, you know, it's just like, I'm sorry, we pay council rates in the council boundary, but not in the rubbish collection area.
Yeah.
You're like,
do you know what I don't
on.
understand, Bri? Is what do we pay our rates for, right? Because we don't have any water, because we're on tank water.
We're on rainwater.
We haven't got any gas, mains gas.
Well, the gas is a separate thing. That's a utility, isn't it? But
Oh,
we don't have any sewage.
Have we got any electric?
There's no drains because we're on septic tanks. We have electric, but that's a utility. So
Right. And we don't... Anyway, the road outside our house is always chewed up by the cars.
If we had a fire, the fire engine would come out and it wouldn't have any water because there's no mains water up here. So...
Oh, don't say that. Is that true?
Yeah.
You never told me that. Why are you saying that? We've got a big tank full of water. They can use
but
that.
if it's in the middle of the summer, there's only like a few thousand litres left in it. So that's what I'm saying. So you're paying for a firefighting department that can't put your fire out.
Anyway,
it's just like,
so we just want to know. Anyway. So we just was wondering, like silently, pleasantly wondering, what are we paying our rates for after all?
Yeah.
Because...
People in town.
Yeah, I know. So that's that then.
That's a rural rant anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And just to put... because
Not everybody lives in the country in New Zealand.
But just to put a little bit of a positive slant on it, because I don't like to be, you know, negative ninny, but the woman in the council, she just made me laugh because I said, well, that's not on, is it? Thinking like, and I just thought, this is so New Zealand. Like normally, if you phone someone back in the UK, they'd be like, I'm sorry, you're in a call centre, we're not talking to you. And I went, well, that's not on, is it? I said, what am I paying my rates for? And she went, oh, yeah. She went, see, that's a shame if you can see the bin wagon. She's like having this conversation. And I'm like...
just over the road, there it is.
I said, so what do you think I should do about that? This is the councilwoman, as if like she's got time to speak to me. I said, what do you think I should do about that then? And she said, I should... why don't you and your neighbours get together and see if you can make a petition? And I went, all right then. That's after I've cleaned the house with Brian and done all the other stuff. So... I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to put the stuff in the car and drive to the recycle centre that's 20 minutes away.
Yep. So.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway.
All right, we're going to go now. So thank you so much for joining us. No, the mountain still hasn't come out, but...
Yeah. Not happy about our bins. That's why he's undercover. Take care. Have a wonderful week. Thank you, as always, for being here. We appreciate you and... yeah, we're really grateful for you being here. So thank you very, very much. Yeah, thanks very much. Kia kaha, stay strong, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. We have loved having you here with us. If you loved this week's show, please share this with your friends. Send it to anybody you know that wants to think about moving to New Zealand and get on over here yourself. And tell them how brilliant it is as well. And also, if you haven't signed up for our free 5-day video guide showing you what life is like, really like, in New Zealand, then go over to the website and sign up. You are missing out. This is brilliant. Go over to www.nzahead.com/free and we will send you 5 days worth of videos about what life is like in New Zealand. You are going to love it. So one more time, that website that you need to sign up for the free 5-day guide is www.nzahead.com/free. So we're going to see you next week. Until then, have a great week and we'll speak to you soon. Bye. Bye. Say bye again. Bye. Bye.